here we are, our final night in our Crowsnest Pass series. This trip feels like it went by in the blink of an eye. Heck, they all do when you're having fun. On this day, I'm left with a mixture of feelings, and I mean that in the best way possible. I'm feeling a little bit of sadness that our trip is already over, but that's nothing new. You never really want them to end. I'm feeling an immense amount of gratitude that we got to come out and have another shot at doing this series after our failed attempt in summer 2022 when I didn't know that I'm type 2 diabetic and felt like absolute trash. It's a beautiful evening in the pass, and the spot we have in mind for our final camp is just up the hill past the Frank Slide Interpretive Center, back in the magical merry land of cow grazing country. I'm also feeling really happy and thankful that we get to keep going on adventures like this and share them with you fine folks. We've made some beautiful memories going on these adventures and sharing them on the channel. After such a brutal year between the loss of my sister, the wildfire situation in Alberta and surrounding provinces, not to mention adapting to the new normal of being a diabetic, these adventures, perhaps more than ever in my life, truly matter. Well, hello my friends. Welcome back for more Iwouldcampthat. We are on our last night of our time in the Crowsnest Pass. I'm sad too. We are just up past the Frank Slide Interpretive Center on what I'm reasonably sure is Crown land. So the road that we took to get up to this place is the road that did take us to the staging area when we did the hike to the former town site of Lille. So there's a number of areas up here that have fencing and barbed wire around it. There is a road coming in here saying this area is open to the public. It mentioned something about a fishing spot further down the road. So given that this area is just open to the public, I'm assuming this is fair game.
When we were here last year, we were here during like prime camping time, even if it was a very hot point of the year. And a lot of these spots had campers in them. I wouldn't have been using the fire pit at that point of the year, and there are still some campers in other areas, but now that the long weekenders have cleared out, a lot of these spaces are now available for us. We're not going to take up too much space, not that the anglers are here. I don't see people lining up with fishing gear, so we're not in anybody's way, except for the cows.
The sun has already dipped below the mountains. Because we do have that fire ring, I think we'll try to just get like a small little fire going. And yeah, this whole trip's been a blur. Like, it's been so much fun, but like, I can't believe it's the last night already. They just always go by so quick. Time just flies when you're having fun.
So Dustin, this is our last night in the pass of our Revivals series from last year, the one that you were so worried you wouldn't get to do, both because of card issues and because you couldn't remember due to the brain fog of your diagnosis. How do you feel?
Honestly, like, I feel, it's hard to put into words. I feel great. I feel empowered. Like, we redid a lot of stuff that we did last year. Some of which I remember quite clearly, some of which I don't. Certain things, nothing's ever going to be exactly the same twice. So we did some stuff too that we didn't get to last year. And, you know, it's empowering, I think is the right word. Like, my diabetes is managed. I'm on medication. Like, I'm doing great. If, you know, I get a little spiked, we make sure we get out and get some walking in and some exploring. We had hiking out to the former town of Lille. We had a point where my blood sugar dropped pretty low. And then I was like, I feel great. This is awesome. And then we're walking back and I'm tripping over my own feet. But no, it's been great. This one kind of, I think because I didn't know what was wrong with me last year, and the fact that I wasn't doing good, and when you're spiked that badly with your blood sugar, you feel depressed, you feel anxious, you feel irritable. Every little thing that is, you know, even the stuff that's not that big of a deal, just hits you really hard. So when that whole thing happened with that GoPro card, where we lost a bunch of footage, and then the fact that I just already wasn't feeling good, it felt like such a terrible, you know, like life turned upside down ordeal, right? Because I wasn't doing well. I couldn't handle stress. I couldn't handle things like I normally could, you know? And now being out here, like, I don't know, it's one of those things where, like, I was upset about it for a long time, but now that we're out here and we've done it, we're on our last night of camping. I'm sad it's almost over, but I'm just thankful. It was totally worth the wait. And I'm just glad that I'm me again, you know? Like, I feel more like myself. I'm Dustin. I'm, you know, one of the Iwouldcampthat Vikings. You know, I feel like myself again, and I'm not forcing a smile on my tired and flustered face. Like, I'm actually, like, legit in my element. I'm happy to be here. Does that answer your question?
Quite profoundly, yes.
What about you, babe? We finally got back out here. We're on our last night of our Crowsnest Pass series. It's been quite the adventure. We've seen some really cool things. How are you feeling?
Well, there were some very, very specific things I wanted to do. Like, I know my memories weren't addled, but there were some things that didn't go very well because I felt rushed or whatever. That picnic on Lille I've been waiting to do for a year.
Oh, yeah,
I got my picnic at Lille. I know we rushed a little bit right at the end, but we were literally racing the sunlight back down the mountain. Yep. And that's a safety concern. I understand that. I got my picnic at Lille. Mm-hmm. And we spent our time going up at our own pace and looking at things that we wanted to at our own pace. And let me think. We finally managed to go back to Lundbreck Falls. Honestly, we tried so many times and it was just so crowded that we couldn't get even a smidgen of privacy.
Yep.
Or, you know, let people have their privacy without us filming everything as we walked about. So we got Lundbreck finally. And, you know, we did some new things. I know that we had our bucket list that I saved from last year of the things that we wanted to see. And with the exception of a few things that we jointly decided it isn't that important to redo that one, we got everything on the list and then some. Mm-hmm. And yeah, as you were saying earlier, I have my Dustin back. Because when you were sick, there were points that I was genuinely worried. You were not yourself at all. But of course we didn't know that it was diabetes, so the fear of what on earth happened to my Dustin was there, but I got him back.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the feeling's mutual on that one, babe. I'm happy to have my insatiable love of adventure back and not have to fake it till you make it. I'm also really glad that we pushed our trip back a little later, and a lot of that was because of the wildfire situation. Like, the area Rita and I live in had to evac a couple of times this year. We weren't sure what the summer was going to look like, and, you know, we both wanted so badly to get back out here and do the Crowsnest Pass, have fun, have the adventures, do the series to share with you folks. But my biggest fear was that we'd go to do it. We'd go around the same time, because last year we went around end of July, first week of August, and that, oh, surprise, surprise, you know, wildfire, you're evac, or you can't get down there or whatever. And That's what I was worried about. So that was a huge motivating factor to why we pushed the trip back to like end of August, early September. And I'm so glad that we did, because like the weather has been phenomenal. It's been really random. Like we've had a mix of sun, wind, rain, but you know, we've had some really cool, comfortable nights. We're not laying in the back just roasting and like dying. We did have a bunch of long weekenders here, but as soon as, you know, like it was perfect timing. They were all the day that they were all leaving and completely like congesting the highway was a rainy day. We took an absolute rest day. We hung out at the pull-off by Crowsnest Lake past Coleman there. We just laughed at everybody while we were sitting in the back, just like watching movies and taking it easy. The bugs have been down to a minimum, especially at night, which has been great. It's been good. It's been good. I don't know how else to put it. It's been awesome. Well, we are in the back. The temperature dropped quite a bit. It got pretty chilly outside. Before we go to bed, I'm going to make sure that I get the footage for the series backed up. I've been doing backups on the portable hard drive on the laptop, usually every night or two. Some nights just been too tired. I had one night in particular on the trip in one of our earlier videos where I think my blood sugar was running a little low and I just ended up conking right out. Rita pretty well had to take the lead and do most of the video herself that night. But yeah, gonna get that all backed up. That helps to, you know, sate my paranoia a little bit, especially after what happened last year. You know, by the time you get to watch this, it'll all be done. The videos will be up, but I got a lot to edit when I get home, but I'm excited. I'm excited to see how it all comes together.
So as we were coming up to our camping location, we did have to pass by the Frank Slide Interpretive Center at the top of the hill, and they have a little gift shop attached. And I poked my head in there, and they were selling a bundle of these locally made comics about various events in the Crowsnest Pass. So of course I had to buy the whole bundle. They're made by the same writing team, mostly Monica Field, Joey Ambrosi, the illustrations by Claude St. Aubin, and color by Anna Cooley. Sometimes there's different creative minds at work in there, but generally the core team has stayed the same for many years. The first one that they ever made was I Survived the Frank Slide. So this is a story from the survivor Jessie Leach, and just the events that kind of came to fruition that she was not in the immediate path of the slide disaster, but unfortunately she lost most of her family in the slide. In the very back, you'll even find a little blurb on what she did later in life and how she proceeded to become a nurse later. The second book that came out only a year later is Big Charlie and the Frank Slide. This is another survivor, however, it was one of the minecart horses. He survived nearly a month underground before he was found by miners reopening the mine and coming down. Unfortunately, upon his rescue from the mine, he did succumb to his injuries afterwards, but he was a celebrated hero for even surviving that long. The next one is actually the Hillcrest mine disaster. This is from the viewpoint of one of the children of the miners. So this is from the viewpoint of Julia Elik, and how her father unfortunately passed away in the Hillcrest mine disaster. So the next one is the shooting of Constable Lawson. So this was a shootout during the Prohibition era between the RCMP Mounted Police and the Bottle King, or the infamous Emperor Pick of the rum running era in the Bellevue area. No, not the Bellevue, sorry, the Blairmore area. The next one is called the Shootout at the Bellevue Cafe. So this goes over how a train robbery went horribly wrong and how the train robbers were involved in a manhunt across the rest of Alberta. The story is pieced together through various witnesses and a little bit of fantasy about how they were eventually caught and brought to justice. This one's one of my favorites. This is Black Beauty. So this is about the events that probably led to the world-famous Black Beauty Tyrannosaurus skeleton being found in the Crowsnest Pass area, and how the fossil ended up in the mountainside where she was discovered. This is another sad one. This is the Legend of the Lost Lemon Mine. So this is a story of how two prospectors found a seam of gold, but came to odds on whether they should stay over the winter or whether they should head back to civilization and try to find the mine again the following spring. They came to blows, and one tragically died, murdered. And then the murderer went back to civilization, but went mad in his grief, and the mine was never rediscovered, despite many people trying to pry the information out of the surviving man. The last one, this actually only came out earlier last fall, so this is almost fresh off the press, the Hosmer Hero. So this is the Bellevue mine explosion, but the main character is actually a hero from BC who came all the way over with special breathing apparatus. Unfortunately, the man lost his life trying to save as many people from the underground trapped spaces they were in with the breathing apparatus. I'm certainly curious to see if this creative team will continue to make more of these local comics. It certainly makes it like you can take a little piece of history home and reread it, as opposed to try to, put your pictures and videos together. If you viewers are also interested in perhaps perusing these comics, we'll do our best to find a link and perhaps show it to you online.
And if we can't find the comics online, we can definitely look into, I'm sure a lot of these stories, there's got to be websites where they're written in text form where you can read them. So if we can find something like that with a collection of Crowsnest Pass stories, for any of you that are interested, or history buffs or anything like that, we'll definitely have something in the video description. I'll look into that once we're home. Well, my friends, the time has come. Our time in the past has come to an end. Went by way too quick. Had a great sleep last night. A little bit of rain this morning, but yeah, nice, cool, crisp morning. So Rita and I have to hit the road. We've got a couple of visits we're gonna do before we get back home, just here in southern Alberta. But I just want to say once again, thank you so much for joining us on this journey. If you're just checking out this video and you haven't checked out any of our other CNP Crowsnest Pass videos, I'll definitely have a playlist ready for all of them. It's been such an honor and a privilege to get back out here and get this series done and not have what happened last year hover over me anymore. I'm gonna get our chairs loaded up. They're probably a little wet. With that said, let's hit the road. And that's a wrap for our Crowsnest Pass series. All journeys must come to an end. Our plan for today and tomorrow is to visit some friends in the Lethbridge and Calgary area before we head back home to northern Alberta. But before we go, I have to take one last look at the pass. And a brief moment of silence for those who have lost their lives out here. So long, Crowsnest Pass. Until we meet again.